Greetings, YouTube. Yeah, we're going back into the WGS Arcade. We are back with more Time Tenshi 2, and on the last episode, we we've kind of figured out that Michelle. Well, in the last game, we kind of surmised that Michelle had died when she got sucked into the time window. But from what we've seen so far from the beginning of this story, is that Michelle is trapped within the time window. So they sent Kenji over to the cafeteria because what can Kenji do? He is really not equipped to handle the situation, and he was thinking and thinking about what just happened over and over in his head when suddenly somebody just came into the cafeteria. Let's see who that is. Kenji, In an instant, I got up to my feet and was already making my way over to the small, cute girl who stood sobbing in the doorway. Kyo, what is it? What happened? Do you know what happened to Michelle, or... Oh, she's not happy. Before I could finish my sentence, Kyo cried out and flung herself at me. She wrapped her arms desperately around my frame, pressing her ample chest into me as she buried her face into my shoulder and began to cry. At first, I could only just stand there, startled. But after a few moments, I hugged her back and began gently patting her shoulder. Nancy Kyo, just let it out. Honestly, it was all I can think of to say. I don't know how long we stood there like that. More than minutes, and less than an hour. That's all I could be sure of. But as I stood there comforting Kyo, her sobbing slowly subsided as she settled down, her grip relaxing a little. Kenji, I'm sorry, There's nothing to be sorry for. None of us. In my head, I knew that Kyo was a grown woman. She was a scientist, the medical specialist of Tensei's lab, and I'd seen what she could do in battle. But at that moment, my heart didn't see any of this. All I saw was a wounded girl. I know. We've been through a lot. Our memories mucked up, time itself changed, parts of our lives taken apart and rebuilt, and with this happening on top of all that, I don't think anybody could blame you for, Nodding to this, Kyo swallowed loudly before managing a sad version of her normal giddy smile. Thanks, Kenji. Don't mention it. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing to me. Kenji, listen, we think we figured out what happened to Michelle, so I need you to come to the lab with me. Tensei, he can explain it better than I can. Kyo took my hand, and without another word, she led me out of the cafeteria and into the hallway. As she led me back to the time window lab, I wondered what my grandpa and the others had found that could have left her in such a sad state. You can't do this, Tensei. You can't just give up on me like this. I never said anything about giving up, Michelle, but for the moment, there's... Tensei? As Kyo's small, quieted voice sounded, Tensei and Michelle both paused to look at us. What's going on? Kyo said that you found out what happened? Tensei glanced sternly back at Michelle for a moment before returning his attention to me, sighing. We've just finished running diagnostics in the time window to find out what happened, and we've conducted several bioscans of Michelle, as well as repeatedly scanned the temporal fields. I swallowed as I recognized this was one of my grandfather's stall tactics. And what have you found? Well, I'm not sure how well I can explain it. At least to make it so you can understand what is being said. But in summation, when the time window pulled Michelle into it, it essentially trapped her inside of a pocket dimension that exists outside of normal time and space, and even outside of the corridors of time that it generates. But at the same time, she's somehow occupying the same fourth-dimensional space that corresponds with the time window. To put it simply, Kenji, Michelle has merged with the time window. Permanently. You don't know that! There's gotta be some way. She's right, Tensei. We can't just give up on her. You said it yourself. Michelle's one of your closest friends. You just can't leave her like this. We've
got to keep. No. No. I know this may seem harsh to you, and perhaps it is. But for now, I think it's best if we spend more time trying to better understand what's just happened and making some preparations.
Preparations? What are you talking about? What kind of preparations? Like Preparation H?
I mean, we have more immediate concerns at the moment. For starters, there's still Mizuki and Bunny. The fact that we lost contact with them when the power surge hit, that worries me.
Bunny and That's right! With everything that's happened, we need to try and reach them. See if anything happened to them.
Right, let's give it a try, and hope that everything's alright on their end.
As Rope made her way over to the time window controls, I realized I hadn't even considered the possibility that Bunny or Mizuki could have suffered something like this, like what happened, excuse me, to Michelle. I pictured them trapped in their own time window, pounding desperately to escape, crying out for help that they had to know would never come.
Something's wrong. I can't raise them. I'm using the right temporal frequency, but they aren't responding.
You don't think...
No. Oh, I don't think that's the case. Or at least there is another possible explanation for them not responding. What do you mean, Tensei? What I mean is that the timeline has clearly changed. Our future has just been altered, and since our future is the past, for Bunny and Mizuki...
The butterfly effect?
I know you feel that my ideals regarding time travel are outdated, Michelle, but given the circumstances, I'd say you're hardly in a position to deny that tampering with time has serious consequences.
But how does the butterfly effect explain us not being able to contact them? They wouldn't just forget about us, or about me. Do you think maybe the future's nice now because of what we did?
I doubt it'd be that simple to save the entire future, Kyo.
Why not? Maybe we're in a better position to change things for the better now.
Excuse me, girls, but I'm afraid that's not what I meant. However, I think that it might be best if we discuss this elsewhere.
Alright then, let's... Ow! Michelle gave us all a reminder that she was essentially a prisoner of the time window, trapped in a cage that had no walls and yet was apparently inescapable. But as we all looked at Michelle's despairing expression, Kyo somehow managed to force one of her bubbly smiles into place. Yeah, don't worry, Michelle. We'll be back just as soon as we're done talking about stuff. And then I could bring my portable DVD player. We could watch a movie. Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? I couldn't blame Michelle for her half-hearted smile. But the fact that the girls were trying to keep each other's spirit up heartened me, and after pausing just long enough to smile for Michelle's benefit, I joined the others and left the time window room. We followed Tensei to the cafeteria in relative silence, and watched as he sighed and sat down. Following his lead, we sat and looked hard at him, but just as he opened his mouth to speak, Rose scowled and spoke first.
Why are you treating Michelle this way? I beg your pardon? Tensei, I understand that you're angry with Michelle. Yes, I'm angry she ignored every warning I gave her about the dangers of tampering with time, and that she placed all of you in danger as well. But that said, we still have more immediate concerns to address.
Like what? What could be more important than helping Michelle?
I'm worried about the impact that Michelle's predicament will have on the future, on Mizuki and Bunny to be precise.
How so?
I'm not sure, not yet. However, one thing that we can be sure of is that they still have their own agenda. Despite what happened to Michelle, they are bound to keep trying to change their future, regardless of the consequences. We need to be ready to deal with them, and right now we are far from ready.
Because of what happened?
Exactly. We don't know what Michelle's merging of the time window will impact its performance. I wouldn't be surprised if time had made it so her condition would make the time window unusable. It'd be the perfect way to kill two problems with one stone.
There you go again, acting like time is some thinking being that was out to get us.
As I said, I have no idea what time is anymore, but that's beside the point. In addition to checking the time window, we're going to need someone to take Michelle's place as our commander and operations manager.
I was honestly getting upset about how blasé my grandfather was being to someone he had called a friend. Look, I don't agree with everything Michelle did, and I don't like some of her methods. But you can't deny that she had good intentions.
Oh, I don't deny that at all. I know she had good intentions, Kenji. The same way that I'm sure the military had good intentions when they took the work of leading scientists in the field of atomic energy and turned it into a weapon of mass destruction. I'm sure they had only the best of intentions for the world. And now Michelle, too, will have to live with the results of her good intentions. Kenji, please go home. There's nothing you can do to help us here, and there's a great deal of work we have to get done.
I was stunned by how flat and worn my grandfather sounded, but forced to admit that I had no skills to offer that would be of use. I just nodded.
Also, I think it'd be best if you stayed there until I call for you. Besides, you're still living with the memory of the fire and everything else, so I think it would be good if you made up for lost time, as it were.
Grandpa was just trying to get me out of his ways, and to stay that way until he was finished doing whatever it was he felt he needed to be done. Even in my current state, it wasn't hard to figure out that much. But as I sat there thinking of what just happened and all the rest of it, I found that I just didn't have it in me to try and argue against his thinly disguised order. Oh, alright, I guess. I sighed and rose to my feet. Looking at the others, I smiled fondly at the two girls there. Rose, Kyo, you take care, okay? And tell Michelle not to give up.
We will.
Hope to see you soon, Kenji! Yeah, hope to see you both soon, too. I sighed before slowly making my way out of the cafeteria, not knowing what time it was and not caring. All I knew was that nothing would be the same after today. So what we're going to do right now, guys and gals, we're going to go ahead and call it an episode, and when we come back to the arcade, we're going to see what exactly Tensei, Kyo, and Rose might have in store to see what they can do to help Michelle and Mizuki and Bunny. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys!
And again, boobage.
That's my pick as well.
Mark? I think, who says?
Oh, you're going against
I can see the logic in it, but and then have